Much as when you have that many people, they need it, and we have the best product. We're the best, sort of the best of everything.
We are the best. I am Stephanie Bell, joined by Jennifer Bukowski this morning, and we are hearing more about the, quote, readouts from the Trump-Xi meeting. Now, an interesting thing about the readouts is there's not a joint readout, and apparently maybe our readout is slightly different than the China version of what happened. Trump seemed very positive, Jen, about the meeting.
He did. Yeah, he said that they were on the same page with regard to whether Iran could ever have a nuclear weapon and whether the Strait of Hormuz should be open. Yesterday, we were seeing positive comments that the United States, from Xi Jinping, that the United States and China should be partners. So that's good, but that is interesting if they're having slightly different readouts. Then seems a little weird to me.
Trump, I heard it talked about, beans, beef, and Boeing. That's what Trump wants China to buy from us. Of course, we've been talking a lot about soybeans and about the trade war, but that's really important for agriculture. I think Trump said China agreed to buy a number of jets, more than he had even anticipated. And then, exporting beef. Certainly, he's right there when he says, look, they have so many people. The appetite is essentially, insatiable. We've got the best product. Why wouldn't we want to open up, some of these trade deals so that way they can buy our stuff? It helps us.
Including a lot of semiconductor chips.
That's right. And then I think Trump also said that China had agreed to help keep the Strait of Hormuz open and help stop the military equipment from getting to Iran. But China's readout really focused only on economic cooperation and certainly brought up the issue of Taiwan. So some folks are kind of comparing the readout, saying, Trump seemed overwhelmingly positive, but did China really agree to that? And I think you've always kind of got in the back of your mind, is China going to hold it? Even if they did agree to it, are they going to hold up their end of the bargain?
It depends. Yeah.
And the other thing, is there any higher praise from Trump than this?
But I say about him that if you went to Hollywood and you looked for a leader of China to play a role in a movie,
central casting.
He's central casting. You couldn't find a guy like him.
Trump's all about the TV.
There's glad he didn't say for Winnie the Pooh. That would have gotten him kicked out of the country, probably.
There's no secret that he surrounds himself with beautiful people, right? A lot of the people in his admin are like former TV people. He likes picking people who look good on camera. And so to say that about another country's leader, I think that's like the highest praise.
That's high praise from Trump for sure.
Right.
No doubt.
So really interesting.
And now lately, have you noticed that he's been making comments about how he doesn't like being photographed next to all these good-looking people he's surrounding himself with? Because these young guys, they're really fit. They're making me look bad, like Pete Hegseth or whoever else.
Well, and, for a while, too, I don't think he likes being necessarily photographed with, like, a bunch of people who are taller than him. And he's a tall guy.
Yeah.
But he does have some tall friends, right? And so maybe that's why he and JD haven't seemed... because JD's like a good-looking young guy, right? You think?
I think he's good-looking, but I pulled my pickleball friends about this.
Oh, you did. This is the official mom pickleball poll from Jennifer this morning.
Good.
Because Katie Couric a couple months ago was gushing over Gavin Newsom like he was the hottest man that ever ran. And I'm like, am I just biased against him because I know what an idiot he is? Or like,
yes.
Who is? Probably. Because I'm like, who is hotter? And I will tell you what, it was mostly the Republicans, like strong Republicans and political people in my group that went with JD. Other ones were like, well, if they don't talk, then it's Gavin Newsom. I'm like, gross.
If they don't talk.
But this is why I'm friends with you. You make me seem tall in photos. I guess I just realized that. I just figured that out.
Jen.
I'm always feeling tall with Stephanie in a photo.
Sort of like why Trump keeps Marco Rubio around.
Oh, yeah. You're my Marco. You're my little Marco, Stephanie.
It's no secret. And yes, my 14-year-old officially is a lot taller than me, and it makes me sad. This is why I'm always wearing heels, because even with heels, I'm still usually the shortest person in the photo.
I'm the shortest in my family by far.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's, there's a lot going on in D.C. We also got a decision out of the Supreme Court yesterday. There's been this ongoing dispute about telemedicine abortions with the mifepristone pill. They were trying to basically say you have to go in person. We're not just going to do telehealth. And the ruling keeps telehealth prescriptions and mail delivery legal while the merits of the lawsuit play out. There are some pretty scorching dissents written by Alito and Thomas in that case. There's the ongoing, I think the Republican governors and Republican Congress has said, hey, the FDA, I think previously had said, oh, it's safe. And they've been under more pressure to take a look at that. The FDA, I think, is currently re-reviewing the safety of the use of that pill without in-person visits. And I think had previously taken the position, hey, let's let the FDA review go on. So there's kind of this, underlying issue of, what's the scope of the FDA's role and authority here as well. So
yeah, and I know Erin Halley had been working on a lot of that litigation. I don't know if she was involved with this latest case. It was they had an order from the Supreme Court on.
That's right. Speaking of Missourians, we are going to be talking to Representative Dave Griffith. Today is the last day of legislative session. Everyone collectively take a deep breath.
They're so ready to throw the papers in the air, I bet.
I bet that's right. So constitutionally, they have to get out of there by 6 p.m. Of course, there's been rumors all week that maybe they would leave early. I thought for a minute I think yesterday the Senate started with a filibuster of the Journal, which has happened this session already, but is kind of not a sign that things are going very well. I know at some point I heard someone
Dear diary, I object.
Yeah.
No more.
I think at some point yesterday there was some book reading over some disputes. So we're going to, I think the House was out early yesterday, John. They weren't into the evening. The Senate was in well into the evening, I think, because of some of this filibustering and book reading.
And the governor did a sort of a not quite post presser about 3 yesterday afternoon and pointed to what he considered the accomplishments this year.
Oh, really? Do we have a recording of that? We should play some of that
little
later
of
in the
that.
show.
We will get that. And Dave Griffith will join us to talk. Representative Dave Griffith will talk to us about his kind of postmortem on the session. Of course, it is, I think, right now both the House and the Senate are scheduled to be in today. But, for the most part, if you wanted your priorities done, I think I heard from somebody yesterday, the stuff I wanted done, I got done, and the stuff I knew that was going to die is already dead. So,
Well, you know what? They've got to have done better than the Taliban, which just recognizes child marriage under new rules. 31 article regulation outlines rules governing dissolution of marriages and specific rules for virgin girls. Lovely guys over there in Afghanistan, those Taliban guys, just the best.
That's tough. Well, we have a lot on our docket this morning because we'll also be talking to Tony Napolitano of the Goldwater Institute later this morning, too. He has a new piece out writing about should we subsidize airlines? I think, we've talked a lot about, Spirit going down, the prices going up with fuel. And it seems like the government kind of always steps in to bankroll these guys. There's a lot of federal.
They did with Spirit.
That's right.
Remember we were in D.C. and it looked like they were going to? And, there was a lot of chatter, and then all of a sudden that didn't make it.
Yeah, and I think also here locally, we've seen flights added because of federal money being infused. And I know a lot of people locally said, hey, and I think even before, when they wanted
federal money is free money, though, Stephanie. So.
Yeah, they can just print it.
Yeah.
But I think even on the local level, when we've wanted to do upgrades to our more regional airports, a lot of money has come in from the county, the city, regional partners, and I think people question, for folks who don't travel, is that a good use of our money? And that's a conversation we have a lot here, whether we're talking about stadium funding, other tax incentives. We got film tax credits, all of these. And as we seek to, I think, as a state, lower our tax burden, we have to start talking about, one way to cut back so we can lower taxes is to cut back spending. And one of those big areas of spending is these types of incentives. So we have to, I think, have a real conversation about, if we're going to incentivize certain things, what is the ROI? What are we getting bang for our buck here in terms of, increased economic activity or other revenue? So
that'll be an interesting guest to talk to
yes.
at 8:09.
And of course, we will be doing winners and losers at 8:35. So you can go ahead and text us your nominations. Let's get that rolling early. 573-874-9390. Tell us what you are feeling good about today. I have a feeling that a lot of you are feeling good about the last day of legislative session. So that's on my list, but go ahead and text us those winners and losers. But next up, we're going to get to the Daily DC Rundown with John Marsh.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
citizens of this state. What I've learned over the last 18 months is that we have the most talented, the most compassionate, and the toughest people anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, America is the best country, and it's going to be the best country for many years to come. God bless you all.
That was J.D. Vance in Maine. Something to feel good about this Friday. America is the best country, and it's going to be the best country for years to come. Spreading that America first, America proud. Getting ready to celebrate that big
250 more years.
Yes, I'm so excited for the summer. It is going to be a fun one. But that gets us into our daily DC rundown with John Marsh.
Yep, the president echoing some of those statements from JD and saying he and Chinese President Xi made some fantastic trade deals and shared a desire to end the U.S.-Iran conflict during the summit in Beijing. Trump says China has agreed to buy planes from Boeing, semiconductor chips, ag products, and U.S. oil. Beyond trade, President said the two leaders feel very similar on Iraq and both want the Strait of Hormuz reopened. According to Chinese state media, Xi warned Trump in Thursday's meetings of possible clashes and even conflicts, if the Taiwan issue isn't handled properly. Meanwhile, CIA Director John Ratcliffe met with counterparts from Cuba's Ministry of the Interior during what was called a high-level visit to the island nation amid complex bilateral relations between longtime adversaries. Officials say Ratcliffe and the Cubans talked about intelligence cooperation, economic stability, and security issues.
And John, meanwhile, Cuba's like completely out of fuel, right? They're saying the blackouts are lasting 20 plus hours a day.
Yeah, it's like, we were joking yesterday saying we've got surveillance planes in the air trying to listen in on the Cubans. Kind of hard to do that when the power's turned off.
Yeah.
And Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. pushed back against speculation he may run for president in 2028. He called the report suggesting he may run again a flat-out lie and attempt to drive a wedge between him and DJT.
Well, everyone is speculating already who's going to be at the top of that ticket. I think a lot of folks are thinking it's going to be Rubio. The last several weeks, he's kind of, I think, shot up in people's minds. But certainly JD, I think it's his if he wants it, right, Jen?
He has the infrastructure, actually. I think, isn't that what they're saying? He has the financial infrastructure since he was on the ticket before, so there's a lot of money and people that are already set up to help push him.
You brought up a really interesting point earlier about the unofficial Jennifer middle. I don't want to call us middle age. Young mom
middle age.
Pickleball poll. And it's really interesting with the LA mayor's race going on, because I heard them ask Spencer Pratt, you got called MAGA and what do you think about this and this? And he goes, I don't need, I don't really care whether I have a red shirt or a blue shirt. I don't need to say, that I'm with this group or this group because I have the moms.
Yeah.
He said whether you're, team red or team blue, there are a lot of moms out there. And what do they care about? They care about being able to take their kids to the park, being able to go outside, being able to go out to eat. They want to be safe. And so I think in your, that's kind of.
And it's for years, LA. The last time I was there, it was over 10 years ago. I was staying at a Ritz-Carlton and there were tents outside. And my husband joined me, but the first night I was by myself. I'm like, I don't want to walk by that tent as a woman. I don't know what's going to pop out of there.
Right.
So women have been having to live in that situation in LA for a long time. And but they're fed up with it.
Yeah, he said, in that debate, he said, hey, if that councilwoman wants to go put these people into beds, he's like, I'll walk down under the bridge with her and she's going to get stabbed in the neck by the people on super meth. And that's what, when you walk by the tent, you don't know if somebody's on super meth and they got a weapon in there,
I don't want
to
walk by that. And I would presume that if I'm at a Ritz-Carlton, it should be a safe part of town. And it wasn't. So I was like, what is happening to LA? And that was over 10 years ago. I think that was 11. Well, maybe it was about 10 years ago.
Well, I don't think in the past we've really talked about the moms being a big voting bloc, maybe until Glenn Youngkin, right? And then the moms really showed up for him. His message on education, about kids, I think really put him in the forefront. And so now it's...
Well, they do. They talk about suburban women swinging and which way they're going to swing because they decide elections a lot. But But when it comes to the mayoral race, it's going to be mom issues, safety of their kids, the playgrounds, the streets.
Yeah, I
could
think
decide it.
I think it'll be interesting.
Not Democrat and Republican.
Well, and to see how, I mean, even though, like, does the LA mayor's race really affect us here? No, but I think it could influence how we see people positioning themselves for that presidential race as that field of candidates starts to shape up. All right, 6:35. We've got an update on that horrific case out of Moberly. Brian Hauswirth will join us next on Wake Up Missouri. Randy will be back on Monday, and yesterday, Governor Kehoe having a post-mortem on the legislative session that has not yet ended. They will be back today. This is their official last day, but he was talking about some of the big wins.
This year, the General Assembly did exactly that. My team and I are reviewing the legislation that has been sent to my desk, but I want to touch on a few big wins that we've seen this session. The session was about making Missouri safer, stronger, and more competitive and more accountable to the people we serve. It was about keeping our promises and laying a foundation for growth. And nowhere is that clearer than the historic progress we made towards phasing out and eliminating Missouri's individual income tax.
Something to feel good about this Friday, Jen. Of course, I think it's a different session when a lot of these big priorities get out of the way early. And that was a huge priority from the very beginning. I mean, that's something Governor Kehoe talked about when he campaigned, and certainly something that the legislature was able to deliver on. Of course, the people will have to vote on that. There's already been a lawsuit filed, but we're expecting that to head to the ballot this year, and a big win for the administration and for the legislature.
Certainly, and a campaign promise that was made and kept. So that's always good to see.
Yes.
And I do, Stephanie.
And
Absolutely. And I know you're going to have me on about the Moberly case, but I do have something new on that I think nobody else has had on that story, and that is the fact I talked to Mayor Barbara Buffalo about they're looking at doing the hearing on the public sales tax on Monday. She is hearing that ballot measure that Stephanie is referring to about the income tax is looking more and more like the November ballot. And that's, we've heard that too, but she went on the record and said that. So that's going to be very interesting. We'll see what happens.
You were catching up with everyone. You were at a big event yesterday with former...
Ryan was all over the place yesterday.
Yeah, I did. And then I got the DNR wanted me to post. They were wondering where the interview was from Wake Up Missouri yesterday. I said, guys, I'll get to it here. I'm like covering three things. They were very interested. That's how good the interview was. But I was at a groundbreaking ceremony yesterday. I'm actually going to stay in the studio today because it's just been just an insane week.
Give us the one sentence recap of the groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking it's a medical isotope facility, and it's a $40 million project. It's called the Radioisotope Science Center. It directly involves MUR. It directly involves the research reactor, and it involves the reactor that produces the only 4 isotopes used in the world for various types of cancer, including pancreatic and prostate. It is huge. It's not far. It's a stone's throw from the radio station to get there, but it was a huge deal, and I had a really good interview. I encourage people to go to 939theeagle.com with Roy Blunt and Kurt Schaefer. Kurt Schaefer was one of the guest speakers, and this is a huge deal. Any other day, this would be the lead story. Actually, it is my lead story on the website with this Moberly case, but this is a huge, I don't think people understand how big this project is.
Okay,
it's
we've
huge.
been following the Moberly case. I want to back up and get people up to speed if they missed our discussion yesterday. So a little over a week ago, we had heard about a missing 16-year-old in Moberly. Yesterday, you reported and John reported that her body had been found.
Yep.
And there was an investigation underway. But now this morning you have new details on the investigation.
Yeah, the new details are that the court documents are deeply disturbing on this. The murder charges have not been filed, so I've been following obviously closely because it's a sensitive investigation. Sheriff Boggs, and everybody knows this, is really making his announcements on Facebook. He's not having press conferences. I totally understand that. So the murder charges have not been filed. People don't understand how that works. First of all, they're probably going to do an autopsy. Jennifer knows this, and I don't have any inside information, but that's obviously what they're going to do. But we know that multiple people are likely going to be charged with kidnapping. The court, and just for people who have children listening, may for the next minute or two turn the radio down because some of this stuff is horrific. But you need to know about it. The others need to know about it. We know she was placed in a trunk. We know she was beaten repeatedly with a baton. Now, the baton is not mentioned in all the court documents in these cases, but it is mentioned in several. We know she was shot in the Rudolph Bennett Conservation Area, and we know Elena Mason is accused of placing motor oil in her, and this is up at 93ontheeagle.com, in her gas tank, if you will. And it's in there. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's hard to put it all together, but you remember she was seen walking down a street. We now believe, based on the court documents, that the motor oil was placed there, and she probably broke down. These court documents are so redacted.
Like, that's spooky. So
Yes,
they
it
put
is.
something in her car,
Yes.
allegedly, to
Yes.
make her break down so they can grab her.
That's premeditation.
That's premeditated and
Allegedly. Sorry.
Well, allegedly, but it would, but it meets the definition clearly. If what is in the court document, if they put that in there, that clearly would be first-degree murder. It would be, and it would be eligible for the death penalty, regardless of no.
So the people that are under investigation, they've got these people though, right? Like there's no one on the loose. They're all being held.
He's not.
Okay.
I don't want to put words in the sheriff's mouth. I believe so, but he said it's active and ongoing. So just in case, and Mike Murphy had first word that there was a fourth person that was taken into custody yesterday, a 26-year-old that was for helping hide a weapon. But that fourth person is not directly involved, allegedly, like the other three. Elena Mason appears to me to be the main suspect in this case. She is a young woman, 20 years old. She's the one accused of allegedly putting the motor oil in the victim's fuel tank.
And she's the one that they put in the front seat, and she wiggled over and started the car or something.
That's
allegedly
correct.
stole the patrol car.
That's absolutely right.
What's
And,
the charge there?
The charge on that, I haven't really.
I had that pulled up yesterday. I can find it.
And that's totally it's totally separate, we believe, in this case, but it just gives you some idea. But I believe it's stealing, I believe, or
Interesting.
Tampering
Yeah.
with an automobile, maybe. Yeah, that's wild. I bet it's related. They probably were talking to her because the girl was missing.
And we believe, based on the court document, too, that, and again, I linked to it. I warn people they are graphic, they are disturbing, so you may not want to look at it, but they're public information, 939theeagle.com. But it does indicate that Elena Mason, the girl, the young woman, is the one accused of shooting.
So are we getting any more details? You said, they haven't filed the murder charges yet.
Correct.
Do we have any details about when we might expect that?
No, and I think it could take some time. I think, Stephanie, that I believe, and Jennifer's a defense attorney, so Jen, you help me out here if I'm missing anything. With the case being this complex, multiple suspects, being beaten with a baton repeatedly, getting shot, kidnapping, I really believe they're probably going to have an autopsy done.
It could also be, it's a smaller county, Randolph County.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big case, a big murder case. They could be waiting to get the special AG appointed into the case.
Yes.
Let them make the ultimate charging decisions, whether this is going to be felony murder in the first degree, whether they're going to seek the death penalty. They're not in a big rush. But usually when cases involve like a death that's not obvious, you have to wait for an autopsy sometimes to see if drugs were in the system or whatever else.
Right.
But when someone's been shot and beaten like they're describing in these reports, you don't usually need to wait for the autopsy to come back officially to file charges.
I don't disagree with Counselor Bukowski on that, but I think they just want to make sure that everything is in order. But I think Jennifer is spot on. This if there is a case, and Moberly obviously doesn't see very often, this would be a Kevin Zellner case. This would be the Attorney General. Kevin Zellner is the Assistant Attorney General. He handles. The other thing is Randolph County, they have a small prosecutor's office. You're talking about I don't know that they're going to have the budget. I mean, this would probably take their budget for the year to handle a case like this.
Yeah.
We're talking extremely complex.
Well,
this is a very complex case as far as putting the trials on and things like that. The other thing is they're going to probably have to go to another venue for a jury. I don't know if they can do it there.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, there's
they
no
can
way.
get an automatic change of jury out of there.
Yeah.
And then they're going to, the public defender's office, if there's going to be up to 3 to 5 co-defendants here,
Yes.
then they're going to need to involve multiple public defender offices
That's
to
right.
get them adequate representation.
I'm just
And they're
thinking.
jailed without bond. So
Okay, well, and I'm just thinking, I'm not a criminal defense attorney, but at the same time, we've seen some of these like horrific murders, but usually it's, immediately people are like, this is a crazy person. They're going to, claim that they had some sort of, mental infirmity or whatever. But here with the premeditation and the motor oil and the gas tank,
it's in there.
I mean, maybe they can point the fingers to each other, but what's their defense going to be? I mean, it seems like allegedly what we know from the court documents, that's
why they need to have separate attorneys, because they could point at each other.
That's right.
And they could say, no, I didn't shoot her. She did, or whatever else.
And one of the suspects.
Or I wasn't there.
And
No, yes, she was.
It was her. But even if you say it was her idea.
Yeah, that's why they can be. Yeah, they can be charged acting together in concert.
Exactly.
And they don't have to say exactly what each one of them did, as long as they were all there aiding and abetting or encouraging each other.
And exactly, and wouldn't be surprised if one of them rolls over. Well, that sometimes will happen in a case like this. I just
It could have already happened.
Well, it basically,
kind of. Like someone's talking already.
Yeah, exactly. One other very important point at 939theeagle.com, and I know you guys want to move on, but we need to mention it. The Moberly Church, guys, Emmanuel Baptist Church in Moberly has opened its doors today and tomorrow. And I don't know that anyone else is reporting this. I found this on the sheriff's website. Mm-hmm. It's called A Day of Healing. Well, really 2 days of healing, 9 to 4 today. They're bringing in professional counselors, pastors, chaplains, social workers. And they say that we're going to get through this and get the heartbreak together. The town is heartbroken. They had hundreds of people.
Town,
it is.
And you think about, a lot of people are celebrating graduation this week. Mizzou has their graduation. This is usually a time of celebration. So to have a 16-year-old
Mother's
in such
Day
a
was last week.
small community. We've seen these types of things happen. Even in larger communities like Jefferson City, we talked about that. And for the students and the families, just an awful, awful time.
And the families all, I'm sure, know each other. I lived in Moberly. It is, but it's exactly right, Stephanie, and our condolences to the family, obviously. But they're bringing people in, and they're also, if people are, they don't have to be Baptist or affiliated with any church. If they need to talk to someone, and I have details, I link to it at 939theeagle.com. I also have a new photo of Kayla Huff, courtesy of the Sheriff's Department. I encourage people to take a look at that. She's looked like she's doing some knitting in this picture. Yeah. Has a big smile on her face, but it breaks my heart to see it. But the church service the church will open to all at 9. That's again Moberly's Emmanuel Baptist Church, 9 to 4 today and tomorrow. Anyone who needs more information, 939theeagle.com, our app as well.
Thank you, Brian,
thank
for
you
that update. We'll continue to follow that case as and watch it. And when those charges are officially announced, I'm sure we'll get an update. But up next, we are going to make Missouri healthy again. Drake, you've heard of looks maxing. We're going to be health maxing next segment. I saw this list online from a guy who's really invested in health. And he said, these are the best investments I've made in my health. I want to hear from you. What's the best investment in the last year you've made in your health? 573-874-9390. We're going to go through his list and decide, are they really good investments or are they snake oil? Jen, I think maybe you have some opinions. So up next, we're making healthy.
It's Wake
Making Missouri healthy again. There's somebody I follow on Twitter, Coach Dan Go, and he's always posting health stuff, and I'm always interested in what he's saying. I think he has a lot of good things to offer. And, I think what we've learned through this segment with Randy is it really is personalized, because for Randy, he's going to eat what he calls a cauliflower steak. And I'm just not going to do that. I do want to be healthy, but so I think we have to find things that work for ourselves. But I will say, so we're in this era of clavicular and looks maxing and all of this stuff. So if we talk about what's on your health maxing list, Dan came up with this list, and he said, these are the best investments I've made in my health. And I think for me, I have a lot of the same things, and I don't really think about them in terms of investments I've made in my health. But now that I've seen them in this list, I'm like, okay, these have been really game changers for me. So let's walk through a few of them. Air fryer, I think that's huge. You can cook food without all the grease. It still tastes yummy, and it doesn't feel like you're punishing yourself by eating a cauliflower steak. So I'm here for the air fryer. He said lab work. I think that's really important. He says pedometer, and I wouldn't add pedometer is not on my. I mean, I got a.
I watch.
Yeah, I got a watch. It's on the charger.
Bit.
Yeah, right. I do think for me, I would just say walking. Like, I've really tried to just get more steps in every day, and I think that, and if I can, I try to do it outside, which I really like. So I think not only for your health, like your mental health, getting out and just getting more movement in the day has been a game changer for me. We're going to go through some more of these, but I want to hear from you. Jen, you have anything that you...
Oh, pickleball with Jen. We all know that.
John, yeah. You couldn't even hear us on the commercial break. You need that.
But what is it about pickleball that you think has really stuck with you?
Well, I mean, it's exercise, which increases the endorphins, makes you feel better. It's the social interaction. It's good for your mental health.
And in case you didn't know this, Jen's super competitive, so I think it scratches that itch.
And
it's social.
Otherwise, it's the first time since high school or college where you get to play sports for fun and compete for fun physically and make a whole new friend group so easily. So I think, it's on many levels a life-changing thing. And the other thing I would say is I'm eating more fiber, and that has been
okay, Randy.
Huge. No, but you can get
microbiome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel so much better now.
Yeah, that's important. So increase fiber, play some pickleball. Drake, what are you doing to invest in your health?
All right. I use creatine even when I don't work out. Creatine, I'm not going to say it's like the miracle supplement or whatever, but it will help you build muscle like nothing else. It also I don't know. They say that it clears up your head. I've felt that, but I don't know if that's scientifically backed. The only problem with it, you have to drink a lot of water, and it forces you to drink water.
Or eat more fiber. Yeah, I guess it is a lot of water, because if you don't drink a lot of water, you won't need any fiber, right? It will run through you.
Yeah.
Speaking of drinking water, I use those packets, those electrolyte packets. Makes water taste good, so I chug a bunch more water than I...
Mike is chiming in on the text line and agrees with Jennifer. Pickleball. And yes, Drake,
Yay.
I am on the creatine train. I keep some at home. I have some at the office. I think as you tend to age, especially as a woman, your doctors start telling you about keeping your muscle build. John, have you what is your... I mean, John is out here he's like RFK style, just chalking up pull-ups at the man show. So
yeah, till I messed up my rotator cuff.
Hey, what's the best investment you've made for your health lately?
The best investment, and I'm not doing great at it, but I'm doing better, is more sleep.
Huge. That is huge. I think
because in this line of work, we don't get a lot of sleep, and you guys in the law offices and all, you can relate.
I've slept on my couch before.
Oh, me too. On this list that I was looking at, he had blackout shades, and I think finding ways to whether it's keeping your room cool, getting a sound machine, blacking out your room, any sort of hack that I can do to improve my sleep, I'm here for. All right, up next, let's talk legislative session.
Zimmer Radio Network headquarters. It's your morning addiction.
They won't work with ICE, and they let bad guys, they let them out on the street.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Randy is on assignment and will be back with us Monday. I'm Stephanie Bell, joined by Jennifer Bukowski, Drake Whitman, and John Marsh. We are celebrating a Feel Good Friday. We are already getting some nominations for winners and losers, which we will do at 8:30. So text us your nominations, 573-874-9390. I know there are a lot of people out there feeling good that it is the last day of state legislative session. Jennifer?
I am feeling good about that. And I'm feeling good about this new thing that's happening with this LA mayoral race, which we're about 2.5 weeks out from right now. There's a candidate that's emerged on the scene. I've not seen this amount of new content from any candidate since Donald Trump. And the ads that are being put out using AI have been so creative and fun. They've been going viral. And this Spencer Pratt, he is a reality TV show villain, apparently, from The Hills.
Definitely
he and
a
his
villain.
wife
Yeah.
were villains. They've been they started on The Hills, then they were on
Laguna Beach first, I think, and then wasn't The Hills after Laguna Beach?
They were on The Hills, Celebrity Big Brother, and also one other show. Anyway, this guy is a second-generation Angelino. On the year anniversary of his house burning down, which he blames the mayor, Karen Bass, who was not even in the country when this happened, he just announced he's running for mayor. And then this new ad just dropped. It's like the Lego movie, and it's so fun. Let's listen to this thing.
Everything is awful. Everything is hell when you're part of the scene. Karen Bass is awful and burning down our street.
You see the
dirty needles, human waste. We just named two awful things: a stolen car, a burned down house. You know what's awful? Everything. Moms in shock, hit the locks. A camp of addicts down the block. Lots of tents, a very big mess. Awful scenes are not the best.
That is so good.
Karen Bass is awful. Yeah. And she's ruining everything. I love it. It's catchy, and it's true. So I think that maybe he's got a shot. And he's saying, like, look, I know they're trying to tag him as MAGA. They're trying to attack him for that. But he's like, the moms are with me. They want safety for their kids. There's needles everywhere. There's all these tent cities. You let the city burn down. Like, how you have completely failed the city. So if they don't get, if no one candidate gets more than 50%, it goes to a runoff in November. After the June 2nd election. And so there's also a city council person. There's a bunch of people, but the top three also involved. What are these? DSA, Democratic Socialists of America? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
right. Is one of the other top ones. And he's like, she's terrible. She's a failure. Like, he's very kind of Trumpian in the way that he's just getting so much free publicity, so much free attention, and just earned media.
Yeah, and I mean, he was all over. I mean, following that debate, he kind of blew up, and he's been on podcasts and TV shows, and he's out there. But these ads are really incredible, and even like people who have been around politics for a long time. And I think one of my rules, we've seen it here in Missouri, is don't put out a political song. This is a rule. I mean, I don't do political advising, I try to stay in my lane on the legal side, except when I have a microphone in front of my face. But we've seen candidates in Missouri try to do it. We saw that weird Bill Eigel song, that Trudy Bush Valentine song. Everyone thinks they can come out with a catchy song in Missouri, and it always is just fodder for the other side. I mean, it's been terrible. And I'm like, you don't have to do it. Just don't do it. But
what do you think this one?
It's great, right?
The animation,
he's breaking the mold.
I'll retweet this so that you can see it at ESQ on Fire. I mean, it's like a Lego movie. It looks professionally done. Well, and he had the Batman one. Did you see that Batman one? That one was amazing.
Very good. And I'm thinking, if you are thinking about running in 2028, especially for these presidential campaigns, I mean, they have to be calling his people, checking his campaign reports, thinking, who is behind him putting these things out? And I even saw him do an interview. And so some of these ads are produced by him, his campaign, the folks supporting him. But he said also there's just a whole bunch of random people out there on the internet who are making these AI videos to support him that he isn't even basically paying for doing himself. I mean, that's how much kind of like a grassroots support he has.
Yeah.
But you have to think these campaign professionals are just like, this is a lesson in. I mean,
this is when Hollywood meets the political stuff.
That's right.
And we're seeing that with TMZ all of a sudden covering the shutdown too.
Okay, and I think we also have to, I think, Jen, you brought up a good point off air, and that is, will all of this social media, because we've seen this in Missouri. We've seen candidates, take to Twitter, have this incredible Twitter presence, have a whole bunch of surrogates on Twitter, drumming up activity on Twitter, and it didn't translate to the actual election, right? And so the question is, for Spencer Pratt, yeah, he's very popular on social media. He's been on TV. Is that going to translate on election day into a win? Because, all of this would be for naught.
Question.
You can come up with a cute ad. If
If you go viral or if you're on national podcasts, that doesn't mean you're going to win your race.
Right. So he's got to.
Or does it? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. But I think if it does, I think there's going to be a lot of people
stepping it up.
Well, and kind of doing a post-campaign review and saying, all right, when we're gearing up for 2028, we've got to play this game.
People don't have the attention spans they once have. You have to entertain them with your ads. And that's what these ads do in spades.
Okay. Yeah. That's really important. Okay. We've got Dave Griffith on the line. We are going to talk to him about legislative session. Welcome in, Representative.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good morning. So it's interesting in the last week of session that one of the headlines, and it seemed to be what people were talking about yesterday, is apparently the fire alarm was going off over in the Senate because someone overcooked a Hot Pocket. And it seemed like there was a lot of book reading and other things, but the House was actually doing some work. Tell us about yesterday's day in the legislative session.
Really, this whole session has gone a lot better than a lot in the past, especially over the last 6 years. I mean, we've seen in the past 6 years, in the last week of session, that the Senate just packs up their bags and goes home and kind of leaves us sitting over there. And last year we went home early, but this year things are functioning. Knock on wood, if you got wood, they're handy. And I think that we're going to make it across the finish line this time. It's kind of funny, the fire alarms are going off, and I was sitting over in the Senate listening to one of my bills being third read over there, and one of the senators came over to me and said, the fire alarms are going off. And they said, yeah, we're going to stay here and listen to this. This kind of reminds me of when all the tornado warnings were going off, and we all stayed in the chamber and continued on working. So the work is at hand, and so we got to make hay while the sun's shining.
You guys stayed in the chamber when the tornado sirens were going off? Even the tornado ripped through Jeff City a couple of years ago, didn't it? Huh.
In 2019, it sure did. Huh. Yeah. I think the reporters that were sitting up in the gallery, I think that they were kind of concerned. They're right there by the big windows. And matter of fact, when they were going off, I was looking at the big windows up there. And
that's kind of the opposite of where you want to be, high and by a window.
Exactly.
Griffin, your last appearance with us, you talked about disability claims companies as they affect Missouri veterans, and you've chaired the Veterans Committee over there. We got a lot of comments on that. Could you maybe give us the short version of that again?
Well, there are companies out there, a lot of veterans, if they want to apply for their veteran benefits, they go through a veteran service officer. And the process it takes to get before your claim is actually ruled on or decided can take 150 days before it happens. And a lot of veterans are just impatient about waiting that a period of time. And so companies that spring up across the country to where they're claiming that they can help you get that done faster. In that case, some of them are saying that we can actually get you to 100%. So they're deceiving the veterans, and they're actually taking 5 times their benefit and taking money away from them, money that is rightfully theirs. And so the bill that I carried for 4 years, trying to stop them in Missouri, and there are 29 states across the country that are looking at stopping them right now. There are 12 that have stopped them. But they bring in these hired guns from D.C. that talk about how they're benefiting the veteran. But the bill is dead this year. It's not going to go anywhere. So it's my last hurrah, and so I've got people lined up next year to carry the mail on that.
You mentioned that you were over in the Senate with a bill that was being third read. What bill was that?
That was House Bill 1740. That was what we call Melanie's Law. It's a DWI law that really looks at the sentencing phase of the trial. See, if someone is driving while intoxicated or driving while impaired, and they kill somebody, they're going to serve a minimum of 5 years in prison. And if they kill more than one person, they're going to serve a minimum of 10 years in prison. There's also some penalty provisions in there that if you are driving while impaired and you cause bodily harm or damage, that you're going to it upgrades it from a D to a C felony and from a C to a B felony. There's also an interlock device that is required. And after you have gotten your hardship license, you have to get an interlock device that's placed on your car for up to 6 months.
A return to law and order. I think that's been a focus of this legislative session and the Kehoe administration, and certainly the legislature, is making our communities safe again. We have to run to a break, but I'm hoping you can stick with us and we can talk about what this last day of legislative session might look like. Can you do that?
I certainly can. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. We'll be right back on Wake Up Missouri with Representative Dave Griffith.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up Missouri, and we are joined by Representative Dave Griffith on this last day of legislative session. Representative, you've been talking to us about some of the wins and some things that might not get across the finish line. I mean, we still have one more day. We have until 6 p.m. officially if no one goes home early. Are you expecting any big actions, big blow-ups, fire alarms today? What do you expect?
Well, I didn't expect Senator Moon to filibuster the Journal yesterday. That was something that we didn't expect, but he came to his senses and came off of the floor, and some good legislation got passed. And in the second bill they took over in the Senate was 1740, and it passed unanimously, 32-0. And this shows you really, Stephanie, how fast things can happen, because that was at 1:15 in the afternoon. They third read that bill. At 2:45 the same day, we brought it back over to the House, and we truly agreed and finally passed that bill. So when we have an appetite to get things done, we can get things done very quickly. I remember my freshman year, I had a bill that was waiting for it to come over from the Senate so we could truly agree to it in the House, and it finally came over at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And with less than an hour left in session, it got truly agreed to and finally passed. So my advice to the freshmen that are sitting there on the floor is don't give up. Holly and I talked about it yesterday and the day before, that things can happen. There are some bills that truly are nothing's going to happen with them. And I have one that will not happen this year, and it's disappointing to me, but I think we have to take our wins where we can get them. And I got some really good legislation passed this year.
Dave, as we look at the $51 billion budget passed by both chambers over there, it did include some pretty drastic cuts for mental health funding. How concerned are you on the effect that might have on PTSD, even suicidal veterans in the state?
I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. I think that mental health in our state and actually in our country is something that needs to be addressed in a very strong way. And I think we need to look at how we can do that. The one thing that we've got in Missouri is that by Constitution, we have to have a balanced budget. And when we have initiative addition process that increases in wordage in our budget, in our Constitution, that we have to fund certain things, that pie is only so big. In 2021, we passed an initiative petition to mandatorily increase Medicaid. And we told it, and I remember the budget leader saying on the floor of the House, Cody Smith said, if we do this and federal money cuts back, we're still going to have to pay for it. We're still going to have to come up with the money. And some of your programs that you like, that you want to have continue, are going to have to be cut. And we're facing that right now. And I think that priority-wise, we need to look at what we can do with PTSD, with TBI, with a lot of the suicide issues that we got, not just in the veteran community, John, but suicides that we've got in the civilian population. And I think that we look at young kids. I remember 5 years ago, a 9-year-old down in Eugene committed suicide. When we get down to having young people that are committing suicide in our community, we've got a serious health issue that we need to look at. And my hope is in the future we'll turn our attention more to that, ways that we can prevent suicide from happening and to address the mental issues that we got in our state.
So chalking up some big wins this session, but certainly I think what I'm hearing from you is that the work is not over. How are you going to be spending your time after today, Representative? You got plans?
Well, after today, I'm going to start my next adventure of running for Cole County Clerk. And yes. I don't campaign during session. I don't fundraise during session. I don't do anything but focus on what the people elected me to do. And so I want to take a couple of days off and to spend with my family, and then we're going to hit the campaign trail again to seek the position of Cole County Clerk.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning as that race heats up. I'm sure we will be checking back in with you. We want to tell you good luck today and appreciate that advice. I think it's good whether you're sitting over in the State House or elsewhere for folks who are new to a job is don't give up. Sage advice from the representative this morning. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we are going to still stay on. It is legislative session. There's a lot to talk about. Yesterday, the legislature stripped the treasurer of one of his responsibilities. We'll talk about that next.
MSDNC. Now it's MS Now. And they got rid of it because it was such an embarrassment. Gets no ratings. CNN is just...
There's Trump on the mainstream media. He never misses an opportunity. You know, he's got all these important interviews talking about, you know, the China meeting, the summit. We talked earlier about that, but he is always going to take a dig when he can, and I find it hilarious. He's so on brand and on message. But we've got a lot going on. I mean, JD was just in Maine talking about fraud, and Jen, we were hearing, I mean, it seems like it's, you know, fraud spring because they just keep uncovering more and more and more fraud.
Yeah, so $1 billion of fraud the DOJ announced was uncovered in Florida with this medical software company. $1 billion Medicare fraud conspiracy. The Department of Justice crushed one of the most egregious fraud schemes in Florida history, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. And he goes on to say that this illegitimate operation stole more than $1 billion. I mean, $1 billion is a lot of money, even in 2026, don't you think?
I always think about these people's neighbors. Like, you say, like, oh, I have a medical software company, and suddenly you're, like, driving a Maserati, and you've got, you know, certain
yacht parked in the driveway.
If suddenly I had $1 billion, there would be signs, right? You think?
Who knows? This government has been so lax in trying to track down any of this. Like, the systems that they have in place to check on this stuff are just so pathetic. They're not having to give any specificity for paying like SNAP benefits or paying for Medicare or Medicaid. They're just like, here's how much we spent, reimburse us. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, and the states don't have sufficient protections to make sure there's not fraud, and the criminals have figured this out and they're fleecing us. But now there's pushback with this White House task force for fraud, plus the DOJ announcing this industrial-scale theft that was targeting the sick and elderly, coercing vulnerable people into buying unnecessary medical equipment. And so they're not going to rest until every fraudster ripping off the American people is held accountable, according to Todd Blanche. So they're going after Medicare beneficiaries to get them to buy equipment they don't need at huge profit. At our expense, by the way.
Yeah,
it's our money.
When I hear
these criminals are getting our money, it's driving me bananas.
When I hear that we're cracking down on all this fraud, I feel good about it. But at the same time, it's like, how many years has this been going on?
Yeah.
Completely.
How long do they compound this for?
There's so much low-hanging fruit out there. God knows how much there really is.
I mean, I think as we get into, you know, I know like everyone is worried about the midterms. Obviously, we have high gas prices, but I think some of our wins, you know, we have more money in our pocket because we extended the tax breaks and all of that. I think it's going to be a hard message, but I think this is a message that could really sell to the American people in the midterms is, you know, during the Biden administration, he was asleep at the wheel and tons of people were getting away with your tax dollars that ultimately either is costing you more money in paying taxes, or it's diverting it away from programs that are actually we need. And I think with the right messaging, that could be a winning message in 2026
or 2028.
Yeah.
Especially if the more and more that they uncover, the more clear it will be that you need to have responsible people, adults in charge of government, and we haven't apparently had that in a while.
Just like they have that national debt ticker, right, that shows how much money we're in debt. There should be a ticker on how much fraud has the Trump administration uncovered. I mean,
they have their own Twitter account now.
Oh, hey, what is it?
It's the White House Task Force. It looks like a WTF a little bit, the handle does, but it's the White House Fraud Task Force. So
interesting.
I don't have it pulled up. I had it pulled up just 1 second ago.
Well, we have our own checker on fraud here in Missouri, and that is our state auditor. He will be on the ballot in 2026. He is the only statewide elected that will appear on the ballot, and he checks on school districts, he checks on cities, he checks on counties, and he checks on statewide elected officials. And yesterday, one of his reports came to light on in the legislature in that he had previously criticized the state treasurer for not conducting the annual audit of the Most Scholars program that I think was required by the law. And then there was also allegations of some sort of data leak. So yesterday, Republicans and Democrats joined together to remove this private school voucher program called Most Scholars from the Treasurer's office. I've always thought, the Treasurer doesn't really do. I mean, it's like it doesn't have a lot of responsibility.
I know. So this is like a big thing to get on the air and talk about. Most Scholars, and they took that. Is that official? It's taken away?
Well, I think it has to head to the governor's desk. But the Missouri Senate voted yesterday and to do that. The plan still needs House approval before it can go to Governor Kehoe. But they cited this data leak and the audit and said, this should go to basically DESE. This belongs over there with all the other.
DESE does everything so well.
That's a fair point, Jennifer. But I think it also kind of brings up, I think you've seen, I think we're already getting some nominations for winners and losers of the week. We're going to do that at 8:30. But a lot of people are saying, look, everyone said.
I just came up with I just thought of a loser of the week then.
Everyone said that the Senate would kind of be a mess this year, and it really has kind of plugged along. A lot of the big priorities have gotten done. And I think you have seen, I think, more cooperation amongst Republicans, less infighting this year than typical. But at the same time, this is kind of Republican on Republican fighting here because, of course, our treasurer is a Republican and our legislature is a supermajority Republican. And so I think as we head into a campaign year, you're going to see a little bit more of this, that, it's not all kumbaya over there, that there's still criticism and disagreements. So interesting stuff out of the treasurer's office. You don't think DESE can handle the voucher program, Jennifer? Well, and of course, there's a big shakeup coming, right, with the retirement of Carla Esslinger.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have
the end of next month.
They're going to have new leadership over there as well.
I don't know enough about DESE's setup to have an informed opinion about it. I just know that I'm on the board of directors of the Show Me Institute, and we've taken umbrage with some of the things that DESE has done over the years, including
Certainly.
like how they grade school districts, which is like meaningless, and that's why we have our own report card for all the schools on showmeinstitute.org.
Yeah, Show Me was really one of the first people taking that information on DESE's website and trying to make it understandable for parents, because that's the whole point, right?
But DESE doesn't make it comprehensible on purpose. So we took that same data and did grades A, B, C, D, and you can look up how your school does.
We did that for mid-Missouri schools. A lot of our schools fare well, some not so well. But I remember when my kids were starting out, I went to the DESE website and was trying to figure out, like, is my school good or not? And I mean, researching is my job, right? I'm very good. If it is on the internet, I will find it. If there is a case out there, I mean, it's what I do. And so even with multiple degrees and a lot of experience researching, I spent hours on that DESE website trying to find the data that I thought I needed.
And how many parents are really going to have that drive? So, yeah, that's why that was useful that Show Me Institute did that.
So any predictions for the last day of legislative session, Jennifer?
They will throw the papers in the air.
Sooner than later.
The question is, what time will they throw the paper in the air? Are they going to do it?
Let me check Polymarkets real quick.
10:30. I mean, I think the Senate's scheduled to go in at 10 a.m. So will they throw it at 10:30 and just say we're out of here? Or, I mean, the weather's been so nice. I thought.
But they can't even get the Journal kicked off
yesterday.
I'm
just saying, maybe Mike Boone will want to filibuster.
Yesterday when the weather was so beautiful, I was walking downtown and I had heard that they were filibustering the Journal, and I thought, should we be calling the local golf courses to see if anyone's already got a tee time scheduled this afternoon? That might give us some indication whether they plan to continue today or not. But overall, I think a lot of wins this session. We played. Governor Kehoe had a press conference yesterday talking about certainly the win on phasing out the income tax that's headed to the voters. But that was a big one, right? And we just talked to Representative Dave Griffith about some wins he's had this session. But certainly he said, we still have a lot of work to do. I had some bills, they died. With term limits, I'm out. So there's more work to be done, certainly. And we've got a big election cycle coming up, Jen, even though the auditor's the only statewide elected on the ballot.
Well, we have the new map. So we're going to have a couple new Congress people with the retirement of Graves and a
lot of turnover in the State House and Senate. A lot of people are term limited.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And so I think
and a ton of ballot initiative issues to vote on: abortion, initiative petition reform, eliminating the income tax. And lots for the party to work on this year.
Yes, it will be a busy summer season for sure. And that will, I think, like Representative Griffith said, I'm going to take a couple days off, take a deep breath, and then hit the campaign trail again. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat. But it'll be, I think, John, in the past several years, a lot of the state house has been personality driven. And so, you wipe out a third of, those personalities and put a third new personalities in, it could really, change. And like we heard from Representative Griffith, there's still a lot of issues on the table that aren't going to get done this year, but that doesn't mean, those are usually the first ones that start bubbling up for the next year. And again, John, you brought it up, the budget. That's going to be, we heard a little bit about, we got to start, tightening our belts, and but it's only getting worse is what I'm hearing. And so next year is going to be a tough year.
And as we watch like we mentioned, the $51 billion budget got passed, and then the opponents said, well, then they just came back and put in supplemental funding, so where's the wash here? But, I kind of agree with what we've seen. It wasn't that many sessions ago when every news story it seemed like we were doing during the session led off with, well, the Chaos Caucus is at it again, and they were up till 4:30 a.m. filibustering in the state Senate with a man named Eichel. and Cindy O'Loughlin across from him, and also, it was kinder, gentler year at the State House.
That's right. And Angela is weighing in on the text line. She says the treasurer's office does do a lot, and I'm not taking away from the staff there or the treasurer himself. I'm just saying, like, constitutionally, when you look at all the statewide offices, they're basically charged.
The governor does like everything
with the fewest roles.
Yeah.
But she said, she agrees that it never really made sense for the Mo Scholars program to be stuck in the treasurer's office. But yes, they do a lot. So thanks for that, Angela. Up next, that would be all except for this with John Marsh. What you got, John?
To use Jen's phrase, low-hanging fruit. How about Bambi's brandy?
Ooh. Okay, that's up next on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
For this.
Giving the drunk as a skunk a run for his money, police in rural France warning residents there about deer acting erratically, seemingly drunk, after apparently eating fermented fruit. Officials in Saône-et-Loire, France, shared a video of a deer running around in circles in a field in what appeared to be an intoxicated state. The deer apparently had eaten the fermented fruit, which then turned into ethanol. Some studies have shown animals break down ethanol similarly to humans, meaning they may experience some of the same effects when people are drinking. Post caution drivers to be more vigilant around the deer acting erratically, and they may be more unpredictable around the roadways. Doing a deep dive, vervet monkeys and chimpanzees have been observed stealing and consuming alcoholic beverages or fermenting palm sap from neighboring humans. Those big fruit bats often consume fermenting fruit and nectar, but they can fly with high levels of alcohol tolerance, kind of like some of the people these guys have shared airlines with. And although sometimes debated, elephants may get intoxicated from eating large amounts of fermented marula fruit, but the biologists say the upside, the elephants manage to fertilize and spread the marula tree seeds.
Oh, wow. I wonder, they have lots of ways to spread that love, but the deer, do they think they can dance really well when they get drunk? That's an effect I seem to have sometimes.
The deer in Missouri are already a total menace to our roadway population.
Yeah, we don't need drunk ones.
We don't need drunk dancing.
They're just living their deer lives. They want to dance. They want to have a little fun.
All
you guys
right,
are haters.
hunters, we're going to count on you to do your jobs this fall and keep us all safe. Drake is saying, John, too soon. He is.
Yeah, John, that was a little too soon.
John doesn't know the news.
No, I guess he doesn't. There's a non-zero chance that I totaled my car last night by hitting a deer.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Did
you okay?
Yeah, are you okay?
Am I okay? No, I'm going to have to start paying for a new car.
Did the cops show up and perform a breathalyzer on the deer?
No. I was so mad that if the deer didn't die from me hitting it, I was going to make sure that it did after, because I was mad.
That's brutal.
They're terrible. Like Steph says, you're just...
I hit one time. It was...
I see them every morning coming to work without fail.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Drake said this one was hiding in the bushes or in the ditch just waiting for you.
It stuck its head up out of the ditch. So I was driving home.
Where were you?
Highway W in Prairie Hill, Missouri. It's near Salisbury, where I live. And the deer stuck its head up out of the ditch to cross, and it hit my passenger headlight. Broke its neck immediately. No pain, I think. Maybe. But then its body whipped around, and just not a great scene. My entire passenger door is caved in. A lot of,
deer guts.
There wasn't much deer guts. There was hair stuck on my car.
I like that you added to the story, well, it broke its neck immediately, so no pain. If a deer hit my car, I would not care whether the animal was in pain or not. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just wanted to dance.
I was traumatized when I hit one. I was coming up from a jury trial. The jury would not return with the verdict. I was tired. I was stressed out, and the deer was like I saw it in slow motion. 3 of its legs popped off. Right in front of me, and it was a case involving a very bad car accident. So I was just like, what just happened? And then I couldn't find it. I'm like, I couldn't have gotten far, but it was really dark out. So
how fast were you going? Wow. 3 of its legs popped off and you couldn't find the deer?
I didn't see where it went, and my car is smoking and steam is coming out. It's like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. So I limped home in my car, and I had to take my husband's truck to the courthouse the next day.
Apparently, if you hit a deer at 90 miles an hour, it just spontaneously combusts.
But just evaporates, huh?
But I saw it slow. It was gross.
What do they call that when you is that when you
it's one of
with certain guns when you just turn into mist? What is that?
An urban legend.
Okay.
Maybe it hopped away like a pogo stick. Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe it's living the rest of his life drinking out in the woods somewhere, one-legged deer.
Well, I'm feeling good this Friday. If you've got a good deer story, let us know. Nominate your winners and losers. Tell us what you're feeling good about. We are celebrating the last day of Missouri legislative session. But next up, we're going to talk, should we be paying for airlines? We'll talk with Goldwater Institute.
They let bad guys, they let them out on the street.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We cannot and the world should not tolerate an Iranian regime that is trying to choke off the entire world's economy.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Randy returns on Monday. I'm Stephanie Bell, joined by guest co-host Jennifer Bukowski, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. Now, we've been reporting on this for, I think, years. It was talked about even before COVID that Columbia Regional Airport was going to add the Charlotte flight, that there was federal money out there and that we were going, and I think COVID delayed that, and they finally announced earlier this year they're going to do the Charlotte flight. I think it's set to start in June. And just this week, the Goldwater Institute dropped a piece saying that this is contrary to the Missouri Constitution. Senior attorney with Goldwater, Tony Napolitano, joins us. Tell us about. I think you specifically mentioned the gift clause. What is the gift clause in the Missouri Constitution, and why did these airline subsidies violate it?
So this is Article 6, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution. And it specifically says that no city or other state subdivision shall lend its credit or grant public money or thing of value to or in aid of any corporation. So what that essentially means is a city is not allowed to pick favorites and give taxpayer money, public money, to one corporation where it honestly could have done that to another, right? Why is United or Southwest not getting the same revenue guarantee deal?
Now,
so the real issue, go ahead.
This is a similar, you brought similar claims in other states. How did those fare? Do they have similar provisions in their constitution?
Yes, most state constitutions have a similar provision. And the way that the courts enforce these really actually does depend state by state. What we're seeing in Missouri is a recent case where a group of unelected advisors to a lakeside district were given a bunch of tax money just to market market the area for its tourism. And even that, you think, well, there's a public purpose. We're trying to bring in money here. But you have unelected people being given money to support wherever they want, as opposed to what the elected officials are controlling and ultimately the people are controlling. And that's been a huge distinguishing factor, I think, in Missouri. And we're seeing other states come along with that same idea as well.
We're talking to Tony Napolitano, senior attorney with the Goldwater Institute, about the constitutionality of the airport, new airport route. The city is putting up $750,000 in taxpayer money from the transportation sales tax. How exactly, Tony, could that money end up covering the airline's losses?
So the way this works in their deal is they have a specific revenue target that American Airlines has set. And each month there is a review to see if within that month, specifically the Charlotte to Columbia route has received that amount of revenue. If it doesn't, that triggers a requirement for the city to pay money to cover the difference.
Now, why are we seeing, I think we're seeing more and more of these airline subsidies. Why are we seeing this?
I think it's something that as these types of deals become popular, what we're really seeing is lobbying from different airlines coming in and telling public officials, look, this is going to be good for you. This is going to help. Why don't you come help us out and we'll give you this benefit? Well, normally, if I wanted to open up a business in a particular city, right, I would be the one taking the risk, or I could go get a loan. I could go get investors who take the risk. I think this is just a new way that a lot of private businesses are seeing to go and get that. And frankly, it actually stems back to the railroad grants in the 1800s when the railroads were swindling states out of money and out of land, claiming great public benefits and then not delivering.
Tony,
the states tried to protect themselves.
Tony, you wrote a demand letter to Mayor Barbara Buffalo and the city council members of the city of Columbia. What is it that you demand in that letter, and what outcome do you hope to receive from this demand letter, or what is the next step?
Right. Well, the first thing, honestly, is there is a second group that has privately collected $750,000 and entered into a similar guarantee with American Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely fine. So, frankly, if that private money was going to be used to guarantee the airline's revenue and hopefully increase any sort of tourism or whatever they're hoping for the city, then, go ahead and Godspeed. That's totally fine. The issue is when taxpayer money is taken out of your pocket, whether you like it or not, and given to this private business without the city receiving something in return. And really, that's the big issue here is your money going out without you getting the city getting something in return.
Couldn't you argue that the city getting another route out of its airport is something valuable to, I don't know, the economic well-being of the city, and so that they are receiving something of value?
So you can't argue that, but the problem with that is why not have United Airlines come in? Why not have the Los Angeles Dodgers move to Columbia, right? Wouldn't that be a huge draw? Why not have, a million other things? And the truth is, here the city is essentially picking which businesses it's going to support and which it won't. I mean, frankly, you could say, why not support the local hardware store or, all of the diners in the town and make sure they all have their revenue. And at this point, we're just talking about, socialism or even communism, right? This is not the way government is supposed to act, where it's picking out which businesses will win and which businesses can lose.
Talk to us about the angle of, I think Columbia is like a lot of cities where there's a public-private partnership and federal grants coming into the mix. Isn't that pretty much the way this is done most places?
So the real issue here is within the state constitution, right? So if it's a federal issue, the federal government does not actually have one of these same clauses in the Constitution. But within the state constitution and state money, state subdivisions making the choice, what we really need to see is that the state is getting back what it's getting out, right? So if you think about the definition of grant, right? If I go to a bookstore and I buy a book for $20, I don't say I granted $20 to the bookstore, right? You would say, look, I paid that money in exchange for a book that was, at least to me, worth $20. And I would want to see that in what any city is expending. So sure, public-private partnerships or state government contracts, all fine as long as the public is getting back what's being taken from them, which is their tax dollars.
If you're just joining us, we're joined today by Tony Napolitano, who is a senior attorney with the Goldwater Institute, which has written a demand letter to the city of Columbia. And Tony, in your demand letter, you referenced that the Goldwater Institute is a public policy and public interest litigation organization with extensive experience in the public policy implications of government subsidies. Do you intend to sue the city of Columbia if they proceed with this route?
We hope it doesn't have to come to that. We hope that the city just sees, look, you're in violation. That's the whole purpose of a demand letter, is they realize that we're in violation of this provision. If we go forward in this way, let's find another way to proceed. And they can stop. They can just ensure that only private money, as I mentioned before, that only private money is going to be used to guarantee the airline's revenue.
But if they don't, what do you intend to do?
Forward, absolutely, there will be a chance for a lawsuit representing the taxpayers of Columbia.
Really fascinating. I think, the flights are set to start very soon. I guess, is there something specific about the airline industry, or does Goldwater, I mean, you mentioned the Dodgers, and that's been a hot topic in Missouri as well, like stadium incentives. Are you looking at, are you focusing on the airline industry for a specific reason, or are you looking at all similar types of incentives?
We're looking at all similar types of incentives, and we see these across the country, from land development cases to movie subsidies. It's really something that is very, very broad. It happens to be that it's an airline deal here, but it could be something completely different next month or next year.
Interesting. All right. Well, thanks for that update, specifically for focusing on a Missouri-based issue. I think that's an ongoing conversation that kind of cuts across partisan lines of, what is our government paying for? We are entering tighter budget years, what our government pays for, and whether or not we are getting a return on our investment. So I think really important. Coming up next,
Absolutely,
we have got the Morning Bell with Jennifer Bukowski.
Got traffic back in.
It's Wake Up
Before we get to the markets, a quick traffic note if you are headed into Jefferson City. John Marsh.
Yeah, traffic backed up on the Missouri River Bridge coming into Jefferson City. Technically, that's the westbound lanes. And traffic once again starting to back up there. And that's from our buddy Larry Behrens, who's headed up to Columbia as we speak to fill in for Gary on the Gary Nolan Show.
Oh, no, Gary's out. That's unfortunate. All right. Well, for your morning bell, Wall Street wrapped up a solid day yesterday, Thursday, the 14th. The major indices closed at higher across the board, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbing 0.75% to finish at 50,063. So it's crossed that 50,000 mark again. The S&P 500 added 0.77% to hit a fresh record high at 7,501, the first time it's ever closed above the 7,500 mark. And the NASDAQ Composite rose 0.88% to close at 26,635, which is also setting a new all-time high. It was a tech-led rally that pushed the benchmarks into record territory. Looking ahead to today, the stock futures are pointing to a softer open, with the S&P futures down about 1.2%, the Dow down about 1%, and NASDAQ down nearly 1.8%. Traders are reacting to hotter than expected inflation data that's raising fresh questions about the pace of interest rate cuts. On the commodities front right now, crude oil is surging with the trading at 102 to 104 per barrel for crude oil. Gold is pulling back a bit. Still, it's sitting near 44,550 an ounce. And in crypto, Bitcoin is holding steady around $80,300. That's your morning update.
That is a lot. The economy, it's weird.
Record highs.
Yeah.
But now it's looking like they're going down today because of the inflation information.
But it doesn't feel like it. But when I open my portfolio, I'm like, okay, the problem is it's not very liquid. And when I have to show up to, I think.
But you're young. You're still working, so that's good.
But I don't want to work forever.
Well, you won't have to. The markets keep going like this and you're investing in them.
And
probably be a good morning, though, to have some Boeing stock.
That's
no
fair.
kidding, John. That's an apt
200
point.
jets to the Chinese.
I think Trump said the ask was 150 yesterday with his meeting with Xi, and they came out and he's saying they agreed to buy 200.
So we must not be that worried about China if we're now letting them have those NVIDIA chips and we're selling them jets. Like, we must not think that they're a future near-term adversary that we'll have to,
Like them or not, they're a big trade partner.
And that's what, we played the audio from Trump earlier. He's like, they got so many people. If we're selling them our beans and our chips and the demand over there is insatiable. We can make a ton of money.
But they've been playing games with us with that.
Well, and what we know, how much money have we spent on the conflict in Iran? And our stockpiles are depleted. We need more cash, right?
And and chips. To make all those, every rocket needs a chip.
At the same time, are you, doing a deal with the devil?
Yeah. Like, when we look at Iran, their planes are from 1970 that they had that we blew up, but they still had them this whole time. And so China, our planes apparently can last a long time, the ones we sell them.
It's rough. Well, yesterday, Randy always talks about filling up his big truck. I have a teeny tiny little car, and I think it was like $65 to fill up my car.
It's a good time to be a Tesla driver, I'll tell you that.
This might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me.
Full self-driving, you definitely need it. It's, life-changing.
Give me the 1-minute commercial. So you can just...
It's so relaxing. You can be in a traffic jam. It's very relaxing. It's driving for you. You just plug it in your garage, so you're never at a gas station seeing those illegal slot machines or whatever, dealing with that crowd or shootings at the gas stations or all the other nonsense. And so when oil is up, it doesn't look like a bad bet, especially electricity prices in Missouri, unlike California, aren't unreasonable. So it's economically beneficial as well.
I said I'm really not worried about the climate at all. That wouldn't be pushing me toward an EV.
No, it's so fast and smooth.
But I am cheap.
It's nice.
And I would like to be able to put my makeup on in the car. That seems kind of fun and nice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I recommend.
Jen officially endorses Tesla this morning, which we already knew. But you should, you should work with them or something. Jen, get paid for that endorsement.
Yeah, I'll let Elon know that.
Call him up.
I was going to say, how many Teslas is he going to sell to the Chinese after this trip?
I don't know.
That's
They
fair.
all wanted selfies with him.
Yeah.
That's what was going on when he was making those faces. Like all the other people are being fancy. Marco Rubio's there. They're all like mingling with, orchestral music. And then in the meantime, there's Elon Musk as one person after the next coming up for the selfie, including Tim Cook from Apple.
I mean, if I'm in the same room as Elon, I'm trying to get a selfie.
Me too. I'll be like, I'll lurk in the background and have you take one from a distance if I have to.
I like that. All right, up next on Wake Up Missouri, it's one of my favorite times of the week. We're doing winners and losers, and they are already rolling in on the text line. You can weigh in too, 573-874-9390. We are doing winners and losers. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege and go first. Eric Church crushed the commencement speech. Do you remember your commencement speeches? I remember my one from law school was Jay Nixon.
I don't remember any of mine.
Oh.
I really don't.
Yeah. Usually in Missouri.
I remember that song Sunscreen was out and popular when I was in high school, though.
Usually
I remember that one.
We typically get politicians. I want to say Jim Talent did the one at Truman, maybe, for my undergrad. But Eric Church, guitar over his shoulder, talked to the folks at UNC. Here's a little bit of that.
You were made uniquely, wonderfully, distinctly. There's a sound only you can make, a voice that has never existed before you and will never exist again. A contribution only you can bring, a way of seeing that belongs to only you.
That's just beautiful.
It's going viral.
Sounds
on
like
X.
lyrics,
Everyone's
doesn't it?
reposting it. I'm going to watch the whole thing
It
later.
sounds like he should be behind the pulpit. I mean,
You should tweet that so people can see it because everyone's recommending that on X today.
yeah, and I think I think the full length one is only like 15 to 18 minutes. So take time, play that for the kids in your household, and if you need some motivation to get through the last day of legislative session, maybe listen to that. There's a voice that's uniquely yours. We're also getting lots of texts, 573-874-9390. If you want to weigh in, this person, I have to agree. Winners of the week, Missouri Senate Majority Leaders O'Loughlin and Lukemeyer. Of course, they were elected after 6 rough years of Republican infighting. There's been some big accomplishment, the income tax, the special session on the Missouri First map, tougher crime laws, and even all of this despite budget cuts. A lot of people thought the Senate would be dead this year, but they built the relationships they needed and are leaving the Senate in a strong position. I'd have to agree with that. Jennifer, who are your winners and losers?
Well, my winner is Stephanie Bell and Mark Ellinger and Catherine Hanaway for winning bigly in the Missouri Supreme Court. On the same day, they argued the case, mind you, to defend the Missouri First map, which will be going into effect. My loser of the week, I guess, is Breonna Lennon, who thinks she doesn't have to listen to the law or the Missouri Supreme Court and has caught the ire of Attorney General Catherine Hanaway for her comments.
Thank you for the nomination. That was very kind. It was a team effort and certainly a week that I will not soon forget. John Marsh, who's on your list?
Let's see. I've got a couple of losers and one big winner. I guess loser, how about one sentence in it? Did you think you'd be paying $4.30 a gallon for gasoline? We'll leave that one at that. How about the guy, another loser, being in a hurry for a hoagie, apparently? Cops still looking for the driver who crashed into the Kingdom City subway Sunday and took off. They told us they had a vehicle of interest. We have not heard if they caught the guy. But we do have one big winner. Tiger running back Ahmad Hardy recovering after being wounded by that stray gunshot, that stray bullet that hit him as he was leaving that rap concert. And they say he's back in Columbia and ready to start rehabbing.
Good. Okay.
That is good news. We're getting a nomination from Brett. He says Jen's the winner of the week and quotes her earlier quote, 3 legs just popped off. If you didn't hear Jen's story about hitting a deer, it's worth going back to listen. Even Brian Hauswirth is chuckling, getting in on the action. And we also are getting other nominations. I think Paul nominated Jimmy Lai, right? The Hong Kong publisher who's been imprisoned for China for a stand for freedom of the press. He had hoped that President Trump would get him released, but it hasn't thus yet materialized.
Yeah,
so,
Trump said he was going to bring his name up, and I haven't heard anything about that.
Brian, who are your winners and losers of the week?
You want Drake to go ahead and go? Drake, you want to go? Or
no, I'm you're first,
okay,
Brian.
very good, very good. I've got 3. I don't have any losers, guys, to mention. The Moberly case I'll get to in a second, just horrendous. But first of all, on more of a personal note, there's a young lady. I wrote her name down. Tamornan is her name, and she works at Quest here in Columbia. She draws blood. She works at Quest, and I do not do well with getting my blood drawn. It's something that just concerns me. I don't like it all. She did it this week and did a fabulous job, and I really appreciate her being patient because I do not do well around needles. So thank you to Morton and your staff there at Quest for helping me out this week on that. 2 other winners this week, and number 1, it would be the law enforcement and the churches, the community in Moberly. And it's a horrible story, guys. We've covered it. We don't need to go into the details anymore, but it's just horrible what happened to this young lady. Kayla Huff. But let's remember, too, that hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, donated their time, searched this conservation area. The sheriff's department, literally, Andy Boggs, his staff, all the local sheriffs, not just Randolph County, other sheriff's departments were all involved in this. Unfortunately, she was found murdered, but they did the best they could. They're still investigating, and there is a church that's opening its doors today. Find the details at 939theeagle.com. And last but not least, guys, Senator Roy Blunt and the bipartisan group, Kip Kendrick, others involved in the $40 million Radioisotope Science Center groundbreaking yesterday. I covered that. That was a huge project, and that is also winner of the week.
Great. Thanks for all of those updates. I know you've had a really busy week this week, Brian.
I've had an exhausting week, and I told my dad I'm going to go home and take a nap at some point, and I
But the real question is, are you going to Cracker Barrel before or after the nap?
Well, that will actually depend on how I did on my blood results. So I've got the diabetes. Actually, I talked to Dan Meehan really well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Had a really good visit with Dan, just the two of us yesterday. Anybody was there, but I told him, I said, I got the vertigo under control. That was something that's been really a problem. Knock on wood on that, but the diabetes is brutal. My mother's had 2 strokes. I have a really hard time with it. So if my numbers, and I think they're going to be good, yes, I will go celebrate at the Cracker Barrel. So
all right,
see.
and get a round of golfing over the weekend,
I'll try to
too.
do that.
That's
Thank you, guys.
Good way to keep your blood sugar down.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Drake, I hear you have a big loser.
Yeah, I don't know which party is the loser here, but I have one loser and two winners. Loser. If you tuned in earlier, I smoked a deer. It was not fun. But
in the end, there were 2 losers, the deer and your car.
I think I'm the loser out of this because the deer just got put out of its misery immediately. So, I mean, it doesn't have to deal with dealing with a totaled car. So if you got a used car,
I think you won, Drake. You faced the deer. The deer came out worse for wear.
Yeah,
you're talking.
I don't feel that way, but it sucks hitting deer. Be careful on the roads. Just look out.
Especially there's drunk deer out there, as we heard from John Marsh. So
if you have
extra careful.
Yeah, and if you have a used car you're looking to offload,
yes.
Drake's in the market.
I will shout you out on air if you bring me a car. I will.
There you go.
But my winners, this morning, I walked into the station driving my brother's car, and sitting on our little catwalk that we have here, there was a bird, and it was not moving at all. Oh. And I walked up to it, I poked it, and it started moving. It was alive. It must have been a bird strike. So me and Liz at our sister station went to go find a box to put it in, try and get it healthy enough to fly off, and then we let it go. And I walked out there after grabbing the box. I picked it up. It flew around, sat on my shoulder, sung a little song, and flew off. So that was just beautiful.
Sounds made up.
No, a hand on the Bible.
Sat on your shoulder and sang a little song. Come on.
Yeah,
well, maybe it was feeling sorry for him after the deer thing.
And that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah. It was the deer reincarnated as a bird.
Yes, that's
you
what
and
happened.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. picking up the wildlife. Another wildlife story by Drake.
I don't know if you know, Jen, but I'm like the biggest bird fanatic that you'll ever meet. So, I mean, just having that to start off my morning after last night, just beautiful. And my second winner, Stephanie, I don't know if you've heard about this. Do you know the NFL schedule release system that they have now?
I am intimately familiar. No, absolutely not.
So,
I have no clue.
The teams, they post videos that are actually really funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend you watch the Chiefs. I don't remember the guy's name, but they had like a really famous actor do it. It was like a 90s a commercial thing.
Long before your time.
Yes.
Not the 90s are ancient history.
14 years before I was born was 1990.
Oh my
God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but anyways, it was really
Rude.
funny. So if you have a chance and want to burn a couple minutes, go on to all the NFL teams' social media pages. It's really funny. There's a lot of funny ones.
We've got other
Chiefs
nominations.
open with the Broncos.
Yes,
right?
they do.
Oh, hey.
Someone texted, winner of the week is Representative Bryant Wolfen. He's a great and articulate legislator. We also had one for you, Stephanie, for not just your court win. Where'd that one go? For being a...
Oh, Terry.
Terry.
No. It was
So Terry said, once again, Stephanie and Jennifer are doing a great job. John and Drake aren't doing too bad either. Thank you, Terry. That's very kind.
Paul said, I'm the camo and cutoffs wearing youth sports mom whose law firm rocked it in the Supreme Court
yes.
this week.
Very
You two can do it all. And I think I'm carrying with me, of course, a win feels good. It doesn't feel as good when you have to go to work the next morning and realize your next Supreme Court brief is due in less than 30 days.
Oh my gosh.
Back to work. But you can feel good about it for a day or two, for sure.
I'm excited because you guys were working on that brief when we were out in D.C. for RNLA. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe, I'm excited for you. The brief must have worked.
It's really fun when you're traveling. And Jen's like, you need to pay attention. I'm like, I have to write my brief.
Say that. I said, work on that brief. That brief's important. Why are you here on this trip? Go back and work.
We're always working, that's for sure. And we appreciate the work. Certainly, we've been talking, it's the last day of legislative session. I think another winner of my week are the incredible staff at the Capitol building. They oftentimes go unnoticed. We interview all of the electeds, but certainly they are backed up by staff in their own offices, by the people who draft and print the journal, by the people in the copy room who have to copy and print all of those amendments. There is the doormen who are letting people in and out of the chamber. They are there. If they're in session, they are there late at night away from their families, working those crazy hours. And it takes a lot to make that building go. And there's a lot of people from the doormen to the security personnel to Capitol Police, everybody. So I'm sure
the governor's staff is great.
Yeah, I'm sure they're ready for a rest as well. So thanks to all of those folks who probably don't get the shout outs they deserve.
Hopefully they get out early because it's a gorgeous day. Good day for some pickleball. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful weather.
All right. So we will be watching for when that paper throw happens. But up next, we're going to get to some leftovers.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Welcome back to Wake Up Missouri. It's Jennifer Bukowski filling in for, I guess, Randy and Stephanie now. Stephanie had to pop out. She has a quick meeting. Now it's time for Leftovers. We're also joined in studio by Larry Behrens, who's going to be filling in for Gary.
Absolutely. People run out of the studio when I show up. I don't understand, but I'm glad you're still here.
For now, I'm running out next.
That's right.
We have one leftover winner of the week. Brian Hauswirth is doing a stellar job as well. So there's one leftover winner. John Marsh, what do you have for leftovers?
Well, we've got a story that we've covered for a number of years in mid-Missouri, an untried Russellville murder case that dates back to the 1990s will finally go to trial and be handled by a special prosecutor from the Attorney General's office. Chris Neiman of Fulton is charged in the 1991 murder of his Cole County classmate Greg Jones. Murder charges, like we said, finally filed, and the trial was to have started Monday, but obviously signing special prosecutor from the AG will move that down the road a bit.
From the early 90s. Wow, that's an old one.
1991.
What were you doing in 1991 there, Drake? Just kidding. We know. Nothing. It was not born yet, but do you have a leftover?
Yes, I do. The Cardinals are 4.5 games behind first. The Royals are 3 games ahead of last, so they are in the garbage can. But the I-70 series starts today. And that will be in St. Louis. Cardinals-Royals, great rivalry. It's going to be fun. So keep your ears out for that on here because we air it, obviously.
Yeah, well, driving on I-70 is no fun these days, though. I just drove to St. Louis. It's a nightmare. There's just construction the whole way. Their overpasses are missing all over the place, so they're trying to get it done fast. I hope they get it done fast. Yeah, that'll be nice to have I-70 back. I have a leftover. The FBI announced it's offering a $200,000 reward for information leading to the apprehension and prosecution of Monica Witt, who's a former U.S. service member of counterintelligence who spied for Iran. And so I hope they find this lady, 47-year-old, military service. She had access to all kinds of secret information and apparently shared some of that sensitive, classified U.S. national defense information with Iran. So I hope they apprehend her. And not a big fan of that lady, that's for sure. Yep. And Larry Behrens, let's have a sneak peek of what are you going to be covering on the Gary Nolan Show?
I mean, espionage is never a laughing matter, but what kind of great information did she share, judging over like the last 2 months? Iran had all that great information, and they performed the way that they have.
Didn't help them that much.
It didn't help them that much. Yeah, we have a lot to come talk about. Everyone is talking about the last day of the legislative session in General Assembly, last day, and that means it's going to be voting time for all of us here in Missouri vis-a-vis the state income tax. And so we're going to take a deep dive, not too deep, more than a few numbers on how taxes get into our lives and where they should go. And I think I'm pretty clear about how I feel about it. They should continue to be drawn back and taken away. And so we're going to look at not only at state income tax, gasoline tax, and a whole lot coming up. And we'll get into some energy and have some fun. And this one may be, John Marsh and I may be the only ones who understand this. WKRP is back on the air, John.
How about that?
It is. So we'll talk about that.
That's right. It's Dr. Larry Fever, who we've got on the Gary Nolan Show.
Oh, man. So it's a happy Friday. I'm looking forward to some pickleball this weekend. You guys have weekend plans? There's graduation bonanza. I got lots of graduation parties. You know, like my fellow moms, we're all at that age where it's graduation centric.
It's
like
end of school
for
my kids are out. I think they've got a couple days next week. I don't know what it is up here in Columbia, but everyone's getting out of school. Everyone's graduating.
Yes, Mizzou and the high schools are all hitting this weekend.
Wow. Wow. And then the weekend after Mother's Day. And so the restaurant business must be booming.
Yeah.
All the graduates had to pay last week. All the moms have to pay this week. That's how it works, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the moms pay all the time, it seems like.
My weekend plans involve lawnmowers.
And hopefully no drunk deer, though.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully no more deer encounters for the Wake Up fam.
Yeah, my plans are to be barbecuing venison. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Do you have the deer venison that you...
Well...
Yeah.
I don't know how legal this... I'm joking, of course. Roadkill is never good for you.
Yeah. Well... We won't tell.
Did that deer owe you money, Drake? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I think I owed the deer money. It was maybe I owe like the conservation agency money or something for not paying my fishing license.
I know what it was. The deer was a Royals fan. That was the deal.
Oh, then it was worth it then.
It was worth it. All right, on that note, we're going to wrap up the week with Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for letting me fill in a few days this week and for joining us. And until next time, bye.